What's going on, you precariously perched parakeets? Welcome to episode 12 of Total Pod Mode. My name's James, also known as Mr. Bames, and once again I am joined by the mighty Will, also known as Who the Funk. How you doing there, man?
Feeling good, man. Glad to be with you. Another Friday, another podcast, ready to lay it down for the listeners.
And a nice little dance you're doing there?
Yeah, I got a little jig on. I'm just vibing. I was vibing to your intro, man. Ready for this week. You got me pumped for this episode, man. Where am I? What are we talking about? Am I alive?
Do you know what, man? After the last few weeks, it's pretty surprising that you are, to be honest. We've had blood loss. We've had appendages removed.
Well, removed, reattached, and then exercised, you know.
It's the blood loss, really. That's the main thing.
Yeah, the blood loss was concerning.
That's probably why you're passing out mid-sentence. That's probably what it is.
That might play into it, perhaps.
Yeah.
I miss our shaman, bro. I gotta say, I know we kind of like played it a little cold on the exit last week, but you know.
And by we, you mean you.
Yes, I did for a short time consider him a close friend.
Well, if there's any consolation, Will, he thinks you're a dick.
No, that's not true. I refuse to.
If you remember, I got his card. I took his deets at the end of last episode because I thought he was cool.
Well,
you failed to take his deets, and he was quite offended by that, especially after you said you know where the door is.
I mean, I wasn't wrong.
You weren't wrong. He did know
that.
Yeah.
Look, okay, I didn't want to admit it, but I did hold on to his tambourine, okay? So that clearly tells you something.
That you're a thief?
Yeah.
Details.
Look, okay, you say thief, I say sentimental memento holder.
To be fair, he did mention that to me. He's kind of pissed given that he, made it out of the bones of his favourite goat.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah.
That might explain some of the weird shit that's been happening lately. I mean, like, I was trying to use it. I was practicing a little bit of voodoo magic along the way, just trying to see what I could make happen.
This is going to fucking go well, isn't it?
Yeah, well, it was, I missed him so much. I wanted to, see if I could summon him. I haven't been all that successful in my experiments so far. Although, perhaps magical things could be happening. Last night, I think that I made two cats start a fight outside my window. That was pretty cool.
Did you piss outside or something? That normally does it.
No, but speaking of that, there was a neighbourhood crackhead who whacked out the tambourine and he stopped pissing up my flat wall. That was cool. He was pissing up the outside of the wall there, and I gave him a little tambourine shake, and sorted him right out. He did stop pissing, so I'm going to say that was perhaps a magical occurrence. I made the bin men arrive on time yesterday. That was pretty sweet. Quite, there's definitely still some residual magic left over in the goat tambourine.
Either that, or everything has just been coincidence to this point. I don't want to doubt you.
Listen, man, if you're going to tell me that shaking a tambourine at a crackhead pissing up the wall and two cats fighting outside my window and the bin men turning up on time aren't magical occurrences, then I just don't know whether you really believe in magic.
I've heard cats fighting outside windows enough times to know that shit ain't magic.
There's a lot of voodoo guys around, evidently. I mean, I met one in the pub.
Yeah, one.
Yeah.
And I bet you don't even know his name.
Shaman, bro. He never took exception to me calling him that, at least, so I just assumed we could run with that.
Well, maybe you shouldn't assume. Maybe you should try and learn things about people.
What is this? Are you trying to make me feel guilty now? I don't understand what this is. Am I now being targeted because of my mistreatment of the show? Are you and him in cahoots now or something? What's going on there?
Hey, nothing's going on, man, but you're sounding a bit jealous, to be honest.
Well,
I wouldn't go there.
Perhaps.
I'm here with you, aren't I?
You are, yeah.
I didn't start the Shaman Bro and James podcast, did I?
No, well, not to my knowledge.
That hasn't happened yet.
All right, well, we better move on.
As always, you can find the podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and pretty much anywhere you get your podcasts from, because we live everywhere in podcast land. Just search for Total Pod Mode and you're sure to find us. We also post regular video content of our playthroughs, stream highlights, as well as the podcast on our YouTube channel, Total Pod Mode.
You can also find us on Twitter by searching for @TotalPopMode, all one word.
And whilst you're there, you can find me at Mr. Bames, and I'm also on Twitch under twitch.tv/MrBames_TPM.
And you can find me at WhoDeFunk on Twitter, and I'm also on Twitch under twitch.tv/WhoDeFunk.
Now that that's all said and done, Let's get to the catch-up, baby!
On to the catch-up, motherfucker!
So, Will, what have you been playing this week, man?
Well, James, it'll probably come as not much of a surprise to you that I've gotten pretty heavily into Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 this week.
No, it's such a little surprise. I nearly wrote it in the run sheet.
That's basically all I've been playing. I have played two aspects of it. Obviously, we mentioned as of last week at the time that they had just released the multiplayer, so I was very much looking forward to getting into that. And I spent quite a bit of time this week, mostly sort of grinding and leveling out characters and trying to get access to various skins and things like that.
Cool. Talk to me about the multiplayer, man. How is it? Is it breaking any boundaries? What's going on?
It's really not breaking any boundaries. No, it's very much just sort of gutted. Really, you're surprised?
I'm not surprised. I'm just a bit like,
yeah, it's.
Shame, innit?
I mean, graphically, it feels like kind of, I would say, a minor improvement on the previous Modern Warfare Online. I think that the campaign, they've obviously dialed the graphics up higher on that because they tend to do that.
Can I just quickly clarify when you say the last Modern Warfare, do you mean the one that came out like 2 years ago?
Yeah. Once again, I'll clarify. I meant the Modern Warfare that came out 2 or 3 years ago. Yeah.
Not Modern Warfare 2, old one.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I was going to say, because I'd be pretty disappointed if they hadn't made the graphics much better since then.
Yeah. But like I say, there isn't a huge improvement from the previous title. But
probably not too surprising, to be fair.
No, I did think that the last game looked good, so this by no means means that it looks like a bad game. It's not blowing your mind, but hey, that's not kind of what I play Call of Duty games, nor I think really what they're pitched for.
Certainly not, as long as they don't look shit.
Yeah. I've been grinding out a few of the multiplayer items. My main sort of aim for this week has been to get the lime green camouflage.
Of course.
All of my weapons. And to do that, I actually spent a long time thinking that for some reason, I don't know what happened, but I completely misread, or I guess I just didn't properly read the requirements at all. And I ended up grinding a gun to its maximum experience level, only to find that the actual requirement was to lie on the ground and kill 30 enemies with the gun. So somehow I misread or confused it with another achievement. And I sat there and I got the gun to the max weapon experience level, and then within about 5 minutes had unlocked it using the actual method, which was just to lie prone and get the kills. So yeah, that was quite an endeavor.
Was it at least a good gun, or did you sort of grind this shitty gun up thinking that's what you had to do, and then it turns out that actually no, it was all right?
It wasn't a terrible gun. I'll be honest, I can't actually remember the name of it, but it was a submachine gun, one of the early ones that you get, and I had a special skin for it as well. FSS Scorched, I think it is, but yeah.
That sounds like a Call of Duty gun, yeah.
Yeah, just about right.
I can believe it, yeah.
And it was good, except, when you get to long range, I was noticing that some occasions I was hitting people upwards of 4 times, and they weren't going down from a distance, so that's kind of a bit of an issue for me in a Call of Duty game, because typically the time to kill is quite fast, and if they're shooting you with an assault rifle at the same distance, you'll lose out. But, that's kind of the SMG game in Call of Duty, right? They're great up close and great for sprinting around at, but you should theoretically lose out to an assault rifle at the same range.
The P90.
Yeah, you like the P90? Yeah, I love a P90. I'm a big fan of just the classic Uzi as well for the submachine guns. I don't know why, I just like the design of that. And I should say actually, the reason why I've actually been grinding out these lime green skins is because I play with a good friend of mine, shout out Jem, and we actually we run a kind of a Cosmo on Wanda duo class on Call of Duty. He goes acid pink, I go acid green. We both equip riot shields, Molotovs, tear gas grenades, and dragon's breath shotguns, which essentially means that when you fire the shotgun shell, it shoots fire out as well. And we just kind of terrorize in a duo and sit there laughing like absolute babies over the toxicity that we're exhibiting on the servers. And what's really funny is that you do notice that when you're actually in the server, eventually you'll start to notice other players cotton on and then just begin doing the same thing, because they take this kind of mentality of, oh, if you can't beat them, might as well join them. And then before you know it, everyone's rocking Molotovs, tear gas, riot shields, just kind of cottoned on to the fact that that's how the tide of the game is going.
Hashtag trendsetters.
Yeah,
that's what I'm hearing.
Absolutely, mate. Yeah, we make the meta. We are the meta, man. We are the fucking meta.
Oh, don't let Zuckerberg hear you say that.
Oh, shit. Yeah. Legal implications there. Allegedly, I'm the meta.
I think if you say the meta, you're all right, as long as you don't say you're meta.
Oh, yeah.
I think you're good legally.
So at this point, I am currently like half a level away from unlocking the riot shield. I got my tear
Nice.
gas, I got my Molotovs, I got my Dragon's Breath through my trials and tribulations of grinding the shotgun. There's some kind of cool things I've noticed with this game. One thing I noticed actually by the virtue of leveling that gun up to maximum, the SMG, was actually that once you have leveled it up, as well as the attachments that you can unlock for it, you can also do this thing called tuning, and that will essentially allow you to sort of increase the weight or the length of various attachments, each individual attachment, and that will enable you to fine tune things to kind of slightly change the balance towards aim down sight speed versus hip fire walking speed, or sprinting speed versus aim down sight speed. Honestly, the impact is very minimal, but it's nice to just have that extra little level
It's
of
quite neat though,
customization
yeah.
option. And yeah, I like it. It's appreciated, and it's just that one bit further than the previous title. Also, I guess just thinking about things that are new, I've noticed there's a grenade, some sort of drill grenade that you can throw at a wall, and it will actually burrow through the wall and take out whatever's on the other side. So
Oh.
you can actually use that for anti-camping sort of techniques, because if you run past a room, get killed by the dude sat lying in there, next time you know where he is, just go chuck a grenade on the other side of the wall and he'll get fucked by it.
Can they not hear it coming then?
I can
Surely you'd hear.
I can only assume that it doesn't take very long for it to detonate. And I have actually, there have been times in the game while I was playing with Gem, we were both thinking, where are we getting shot from? Where is it coming from? Turns out that must have been what was causing it.
Sounds like you're having a good time with it though, man. Have you touched the campaign at all as well, or have you really just been focusing on the multiplayer, like with Gem on your own, whatever?
Mostly really focusing on the multiplayer, but I did manage to stick an extra hour and a bit into the campaign slightly before recording. I played and I finished off the mission that I started the other week where you were running in the AC-130.
Nice.
You went up actually capturing the guy that you've been trying to capture, watching the team that you usually play as going in from the ground level, so you're kind of covering those guys. And eventually, I think the Mexican army show up because, as I mentioned last week, the terrorists are in league with the cartel, and you end up having to provide loads of air support. My point still stands that there isn't very much that I've done in this game so far that means that actually you're doing something new that you haven't done in a previous Call of Duty title.
Yeah.
The last mission that I was sneaking around in a ghillie suit and avoiding loads of people, just like you do at the end of the original and remastered bit of the Modern Warfare title. It felt
that sounds awfully familiar.
very familiar. Yeah, absolutely. Even to the point where they just recreate the same moment. Now, this is the thing that I'm slightly confused about, is that I'm thinking, are they trying to do this as kind of, I assume this must be nods to the previous titles, right? When they
Has
just
to
do
be,
moments
right?
like that.
Yeah.
But it's also slightly confusing to me because they're kind of remaking them. They've called them the same name. It's clearly supposed to be an alternate timeline, kind of like this is the new established universe of the Call of Duty franchise as a whole sort of thing. They've essentially discarded what happened, I believe, in previous titles.
Right.
So we'll see just how much this ends up differing from the previous Modern Warfare 1 and 2.
Fair. I mean, has it got any of the same characters in it?
Yeah, it's got loads of the same characters. Yeah, absolutely. Captain Price is in there, Soap's in there, Gaz was in there, but I think Gaz has kind of changed character, I think.
Yes, he goes by Gareth now.
Just Gareth. Gavin.
Oh, is it Gavin?
Gaz is Gavin, I think, yeah. I'm having a good time with it still, enjoying playing my way through the campaign, and I got to say at this point, mostly doing that because it's a requirement to unlock certain operators, and I have my eye on a couple operators there that I'd like to get.
Well, the rumour and innuendo is that it's only 6 hours of campaign, so you could probably bosh that out relatively quickly if you put your mind to it.
So that really is about all I've played this week. It feels like it's advanced in the right ways in terms of the multiplayer, and it's retained the kind of the classic feel as well. So, absolutely no complaints. Few bugs, few noticeable bugs, but only
don't
sort
be
of
silly.
in a AAA modern day game released in the last week or two. No.
In an Activision game, no.
But they appear to be mostly visual.
Unfortunately, you probably expect it.
I tell you what, no, that is a slight lie. Occasionally I'm walking around and a massive black hole just envelopes me and sends me into another dimension, and then I walk around and eventually emerge on the other side, and, suddenly things come back into view.
Are you sure you didn't just pass out in midway through? I mean, we can't rule it out. Are you being serious, though? You get What's the black hole dimension thing about? Is that a
Yeah, yeah,
bug or is it?
yeah, serious. It's a bug. It's just a very weird visual glitch where occasionally I'm standing still and then I'll be looking around and all I can say is just a weird black circle sort of expands on the screen, and it does seem relative to where you're looking. As you look around, it kind of follows the environment, and if it starts to open, much like Slender Man, if you look away from it, it kind of stops, but the more you look at it, the more it consumes you, and then
Oh wow.
once you're in the dark zone, you need to kind of like run through it, and then you come out the other side. This seems like a weird nightmarish thing, but I'm pretty sure this
It
is
does.
just a bug.
It sounds kind of fucked up. Well, Halloween finished, mate.
Yeah,
Usually...
Halloween's over,
what the
Activision.
fuck?
Like, Jesus. Other than that, nothing particularly game-breaking.
And is that in the multiplayer or is that in the campaign?
I haven't experienced it in the campaign so far. I've only experienced it in the multiplayer.
It's no good if you're getting shot, is it?
I think that would obviously affect my opinion of it a lot more, but
Yeah,
I think the fact that it tends to have happened in situations where it's pretty easy to avoid. And if anything, I'm actually... as I mentioned, I've been indulging the the bug a little bit by trying to wander around inside it and see what happens. So
there might be an unlockable in there. You never know.
Yeah,
Little Easter egg,
exactly.
maybe,
Imagine if I
like
find the battle pass.
Yeah, you just find the battle pass. Never have to pay anything for it. It's like, yep, free battle pass.
Done.
Golden ticket.
What about you, man? What have you been up to this week other than your challenge?
Pretty much nothing apart from the challenge, if I'm honest with you.
It's kept you busy, has it?
Yeah, I mean, relatively speaking. We'll get into that later. But I did manage to continue with God of War a little bit
Ooh, very
on the
good.
weekend. I say a little bit.
I knew you couldn't keep yourself away. I knew it was happening.
No, I couldn't, and it ruined my sleep pattern for the whole week somewhat.
You were putting your regular waking hours into the challenge, and then you were just overtiming into God of War, was it?
Well, no, so I haven't played God of War since Sunday night.
Ah, okay. So
But
you squeezed in just a few hours.
Over Saturday and Sunday, I played for 20-odd hours.
Wow, okay,
Something
nice.
like that.
Damn.
Hard. It shouldn't be a surprise given that it won Game of the Year back in 2018, right? But fuck me, it's a good game.
Yeah, I know. It's fully engrossing.
I know this isn't exactly the hottest take in the world, and it's, as I say, 4 years late, but my goodness, like, shout outs to Sai again. When he told me that he couldn't believe that he'd kept it on this shelf for so long before playing it, I'm similar. I've had God of War on PlayStation since whenever I got the PlayStation 4. I can't remember when I bought it.
2019. I think it was 2019.
I think it was just before COVID, yeah.
It was a good while after release of God of War.
Yeah. So I've had it since then, and I'd only done up to the first Boulder fight. And I put it down because I wanted to play Bloodborne, and I was like, right, this is awesome, but my focus is Bloodborne. That's what I want to do.
Yeah.
Why it's taken me so long to pick it up again, I have no idea. It's just fantastic. It looks excellent. It plays excellent. The storyline, oh my goodness. So good. Kratos' animations and mood, and like, spoilers for God of War, but it's 4 years old, get over yourselves. The way that as things unfold and he finally tells Atreus about how, I'm a god, by the way.
Yeah.
Sort of thing. And the way that all unfolds and Atreus' reaction to it when he becomes a bit of a dick there for a bit.
That's right, yeah.
But then he gets reined back in. It's really touching and really moving and quite emotional, and I really didn't expect that from Kratos.
No, and let alone from a God of War game at all, It's, it really does take you by surprise, and I think I've shown you some time ago the video game Donkey review video of God of War, and the fact that he compares it to Up is surprisingly relevant, actually, I think.
I knew all this going in, and it surprised the hell out of me still, and that to me is the sign of an excellent piece of storytelling.
Yeah.
Like, I thought that I was getting towards the end of the game because of the way the story was progressing and the way things were going, and then you just get bait and switched. And I think I even said to you, like, I'm sure that I'll get bait and switched. And it got me, even though I kind of knew it was coming. And it's just, and that is, again, it's just a sign of an excellently told story, a well-written narrative. And man, frankly, it's been so good that actually anything else that I've tried to play has been ruined as a result, a little bit.
We did talk
Which
about
we will
that.
get into later, of course.
I was going to say, we talked about that a little earlier on in the week. I'll be interested to see just how much this has hampered your opinion of Evil Within, just based on the fact that you weren't allowed to play, or you didn't have the time, rather, I should say, to play God of War as such.
It felt like I wasn't allowed to.
Yeah.
Honestly, it really did, because I saw, and this says more about me than it does about the game probably, but I was like looking at it in my Steam library thinking like, man, I really want to be playing you.
You can get your God of War once you've eaten your Evil Within.
Exactly, yeah. And then obviously, because Ragnarok's coming out on Tuesday next week, I think.
Yeah, the hype is live. Right? You're going to pick up a PS5, yeah?
The thoughts cross my mind. If I'm being totally honest. I'm not going to,
The
but the
hype
thought
of
has
God
crossed.
of War has got you now, right?
Well,
Yeah.
no, but the problem is that I listen to a lot of YouTube, and it started advertising Ragnarok. So, and it's like if I can't skip the ad, I have to mute it because it makes me upset that I haven't been able to play it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like that's the biggest praise I can give God of War is that I'm getting upset that the fact that I haven't been able to play it.
You're going to have to wait for at least, bare minimum a couple years sort of thing to get hold of
Oh
this
yeah,
on PC.
and
Yeah.
I'm honestly okay with that because I think that I don't want to call my shot too early, but I think there's a strong chance that I'm probably going to try and 100% God of War
Yeah, 100%, man. It's a worthy goal.
because it's just so good and the world's so well built. I want to go exploring it. It's one of the few games I've ever played where I almost don't want to fast travel often.
I'll be honest, I forgot there was a fast travel. I never used it, ever.
No, and that's the thing. I have used it, but when I'm in exploration mode, I'm just not going to do it. I'm going to get in the boat. I want to hear Mimir's stories. I want to hear the banter. I want to
Exactly that,
just
yeah.
see the world. I mean, it's just beautiful.
That was something I wanted to mention about the way that the game is told, and you mentioned the storytelling there. It's the way it's kind of delivered in the fact that you have little background conversations between the characters, which are usually quite intriguing. They can be quite funny sometimes, and they kind of seem like quite a world away from some of the stuff that you're doing outside of those,
Yeah.
like traveling to the location sort of thing. And then they're also tied together with these kind of really compelling cutscenes that are really well voice acted. The animations are done so well, all the motion capture is done. Obviously, the graphics we all know are absolutely gorgeous. It gives it a really kind of Hollywood movie feel, and you're just waiting for some sort of announcement of a God of War TV series or a God of War movie or something crazy through the roof budget. It wouldn't surprise me at all, providing that, say, something like the upcoming Last of Us TV series is successful. Wouldn't at all surprise me if we saw Kratos on a TV screen.
Yeah, so long as Netflix don't get it.
We'll have to see, because HBO are handling Last of Us, aren't they? So hopefully,
Think
provided
so,
that's
yeah.
good. It seems to have a lot of involvement from the series producers, whereas Netflix, it sounds like those producers don't have very much respect at all for the source material. And with a story like God of War being told as well as it is in the video game, hopefully, much like what I'm seeing from the Last of Us TV adaptation, they're really not going to stray far away from the source material here.
Well, if they do a God of War TV show, they can't stray from the source material because it's absolutely perfect the way it is.
Diamond, isn't it? It's dynamite.
And also, they can't do the other typical Netflix thing. I don't want to dunk on Netflix too much, but I just know that
They
they
don't
do
have
it.
a great history of handling
No.
TV adaptation. That Resident Evil TV series was
Got canned, right?
awful. Yeah, I tried watching it. Nah, I like Resident Evil. I don't like Resident Evil TV series.
And that's the thing, right? They never do a third series of anything, so it always gets cancelled, right? I mean, The Witcher being the obvious exception, but they're f***ing that up or doing their best to anyway.
Who knows?
Team Cavill, that's all I'm going to say for the moment. But the other thing is, I don't trust anyone really, but Netflix particularly. I wouldn't trust them to not try and cram too much into the first series and then cock up the pacing of the story. But before we get too far away from the topic at hand, story's been great, combat's challenging, but completely fair. Like, no qualms with that. I found 2 Valkyries so far. I believe there's 9 to find. Oh, sorry, I found 3, but I've beaten 2. They're great fights. Looking forward to seeing how the rest of those play out, and looking forward to seeing how the rest of the game plays out.
Very good. I'm really looking forward to hearing you get to the conclusion of this game and hearing your final opinions. And also, honestly, what you make of the new Game Plus as well. It sounds like you're absolutely going to go back and do it. And I would highly recommend that as well.
We'll see how it goes, man. We'll see how it goes. I know that there's still plenty of little moves I need to find, get my best combos. Now, I've barely leveled anything up either, I should add.
Oh, really? That's interesting, because I got to say, I was very surprised at just how quickly I was filling up the skill tree in this game.
Oh, yeah, no, I've still got like 200 and something thousand experience. I haven't spent anything.
Why? Why?
Because you don't need to.
No, you don't need to, but I get it if you, say, for instance, we talked last week where you don't know what your upgrades are going to be and you can't, obviously. But this is a game where you can get every upgrade, man. There's no reason not to upgrade. It adds so much value to the game when you get these moves. You're depriving yourself of content by doing this.
I know, but so the original reason I did it is because I knew I was getting the Blades of Chaos. and I didn't want to spank all of my experience into the Leviathan axe before I tried everything out.
Yeah, yeah.
Now it's just I just haven't done it. I just need to do it. I'm not like it's not an active decision. I've just been enjoying the game so much that I just haven't even bothered. Like, and I'm doing okay.
Yeah, as long as you get the dodging down, and your experience with Souls games will put you in good stead for this, because it's kind of like, I would class this as like, it's obviously not a Souls like, but the combat I would say is Souls light kind of style.
Souls-ish, yeah.
Souls-ish,
I'll give you that.
yeah.
There's no
iframes. There's a dodge. Yeah, there's no iframes, but yeah.
But no, so excellent. 10 out of 10. Can see why it won Game of the Year. Masterpiece. So I think that just about rounds up the catch-up. So why don't we move on to a cheeky bit of gaming news? So, first news story today. PSVR 2 is set to launch in February of next year. And not only is it set to launch, it's got a price associated with it, Will.
Ooh.
We're looking at $550.
Right, okay.
PlayStation headset.
So
which is the same price as the PS5, yeah.
None of this is standalone, I assume.
You specifically need a PS5 to use this.
Exactly. I believe it's roughly half the price of a new Meta Quest Pro, I believe, that the headsets are coming out. I think they were just over $1,000.
No, they were £1,500, so $1,600, $1,700, right?
So I guess actually within the scope of things then, considering you're getting a gaming console and a kind of VR side experience is what I would class the PSVR as, really. It hasn't had the capabilities and freedom of the software from a true VR PC experience. It's definitely a good way to perhaps experience VR before the Pro version becomes regularly affordable.
Well, you'd know more about that sort of thing than I would, man, as our resident VR expert, I'm going to call you.
As in the guy that bought a Quest 2 like 2 years ago and's played it
exactly.
A combination
You've got one, right?
10 times or something.
You've got one, yeah. That's good enough.
I'll do.
Better than me.
There you go, resident VR expert. It, I'll take it.
Are you sure about that?
Apparently, we're looking at some pretty decent sounding games, actually. We've got Horizon Call of the Mountain is going to be available on VR.
We'll see. Is it a VR experience, or is it actually a decent, fully fledged game? Let's see.
The fact that they're chucking Horizon in there, though, that feels like a big deal. I mean, it's not a world-beating franchise necessarily, but it's certainly popular.
It's a popular franchise, You could, if you were thinking cynically, wonder if they were just using the IP to sell a VR experience and entice more people over to VR. It's
one of them ones, because it sounds like it doesn't quite have the gravitas to be that killer IP that's going to get you into VR, right? But it's better than, I don't know, fucking... I want to say Beat Saber, but I don't want to dunk on Beat Saber because Beat Saber is great. But you know what I mean? It's a bigger name than that, for example.
Yeah, I think that's definitely the case. And I think that if anything, this is just going to... I hope they sort of broaden the scope of the smaller games that are available on it, because I think that those sort of smaller experiences would benefit the VR headset more so than having lots of dedicated sort of really strong experiences. I just... unless they're pulling out regularly kind of Half-Life Alyx level of VR experiences, then I think that honestly they'd be better with just widely increasing the range of VR titles available. It did feel like the PSVR suffered from lack of titles, really, and
well, it's funny you say that, because I'm looking at the PSVR 2 pre-order website right now, PlayStation.com. And one of the facts, frequently asked questions, is what games will be available for PSVR 2. And what they've said is that more than 20 games are currently in development for the PSVR 2 from PlayStation Studios and third-party partners.
Ah, okay.
Including Resident Evil Village, The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners, No Man's Sky.
Oh, that's been out. That's VR already.
Star Wars Tales from the Galaxy's Edge, Demio, and the PSVR 2 exclusive Horizon Call of the Mountain.
So that's, 20 titles. Sounds great. Yeah. They're using those as the examples. Those are the heavy hitters, right? Those are the ones they've chosen to use. So, other than the projects that are obviously still confidential and they're not deciding to speak about just yet. It's not promising.
Sort of tying into story number 2 today, Sony are probably going to need to sell quite a few units of that $550 price tag, because apparently they are losing millions of PlayStation subscribers.
Right.
The article I have here from Giant Freaking Robot, excellent name, people, excellent name.
It's not it's no gamer rant, but it's up there. It's up there.
It's certainly up there, man. I mean, it'd be even better for me if they'd called it Huge Fucking Robot instead.
Big ass robot.
Apparently, Sony lost 2 million subscribers on its PlayStation Plus service between July and September 2022, and they put it down to the restructuring of the service and the introduction of the multi-tier system.
Right.
So, looking at what those tiers actually sort of entail, they are called Essential, Extra, and Premium.
Okay.
The 3 tiers. So, Essential gives you the same benefit as the old PlayStation Plus. So you get your PS4 and PS5 monthly games, online multiplayer access and exclusive discounts, cloud storage and all that good stuff.
Right.
If you buy the extra version, you get all of that plus a PS4 and PS5 game catalogue. I mean, it said there were only 3 tiers, but there's 2 more columns in this table I'm looking at called Deluxe and Premium. Now, Deluxe, which is available in markets without cloud streaming,
okay,
gives you the same benefits as PS Plus, the PS4 and PS5 game catalogue, an original PlayStation, PlayStation 2 and PSP classic games catalogue along with PS3 remasters, and time-limited game trials on blockbuster titles.
Well, that's just bullshit. Game demos. Great.
Time-limited game demos, no less.
Yeah, like basically whenever a Sony studio decides to kick out a title, that will be the exclusive demo. I'd be interested to see if any third-party game producers actually take part in that marketing.
And then finally, the premium is exactly the same as the deluxe I've just mentioned there, but you also then get original PS3 games via cloud streaming and cloud streaming access for the original PlayStation, PS2, PSP, and PS4 games. So Deluxe is available in markets without cloud streaming. The Premium is available in markets with cloud streaming.
Right. Okay. So they've addressed the sort of issue that they had previously, which was the fact that cloud streaming just still, as we discussed back in the Stadia episode, still isn't there yet for mass consumption, and downloaded games are still absolutely a requirement for most people.
And just finally on the sort of saying what this is, your PlayStation Plus Essential is... we'll do it dollars, fuck it, $9.99 a month. If you want the extra version, it goes up to $14.99 a month. And finally, the premium service is $17.99 a month or £13.49 a month.
So that's, right on the face of it there, it doesn't take a genius to figure out that you're not getting nearly as much value as you are for the Games Pass. It seems like they can't.
Games Pass Ultimate, for comparison, which is like everything.
Yeah.
$10.99.
So that's the highest, most premium tier that Xbox offers, which also has I believe, much larger selection than PlayStation does. And all of the titles, to my knowledge, are available to download. None of the titles are restricted to online only, which, it's been some time since I actually checked out PS Now. So, a good few years, in fact, maybe about 3 years. But there were still plenty of titles that were cloud play only. And that was something that I wasn't aware of before I gave my trial a go, and was very pleased that I cancelled my trial as a result, because a lot of the old games that you wanted to play were cloud only.
Why would they make something cloud only when the service isn't fully up to speed?
Sorry to say, nothing against it really, but they just can't match up to the value of the Game Pass. And I wonder if that's part of the reason why. I mean, I can think of a couple reasons why so many people will be leaving PlayStation, namely the PS5 availability versus Xbox availability, and the fact that the Game Pass offers so much value. Also the fact that PlayStation has had a bit of a lull in terms of its big hitting exclusives. I know we did just talk about Ragnarok, but let's be honest, we've had Demon's Souls, Ragnarok, Spider-Man Miles Morales.
Yeah, I'm trying desperately to think of more.
I don't know whether we've had very many more, to be honest with you. Big, heavy... Oh, and obviously Horizon Forbidden West as well.
Yeah.
But that really is it. Yeah, they have really kind of stagnated there, and that was usually where their kind of strength was. So this is a bit of a turn up for the books for PlayStation. I also think that there's also, a growing market of PC gamers as well. And I think, more and more people are playing on PC. I think that streamers are having kind of like quite a big influence on the choice of, how people game. I think there's probably more and more kids out there that are wanting to own a nice little tidy 40 series setup than they are a Series X or a PlayStation 5. And
then rightly so.
yeah, you can't blame them for trying,
This year, Santa, I want an RGB cable setup with a 4090 graphics card, a i9 9000X700 processor,
You want what? You f***ing spoiled dick.
Get the fuck out of here.
I don't know why Santa sounds like that. But no, man, I agree with everything you've just said there. And to me, this is surprising for the reasons you've just outlined in terms of like Sony used to dominate this sort of thing. The exclusives were on point. But a 3-tiered price system, and looking at that table just now, doesn't look like you get that much more value at the higher tiers.
No, not unless you're interested in playing PS2, PS3, PS1 titles and stuff like that, which,
No.
you know, a lot of
Which,
people
can you
aren't
not
gonna
backwards
be.
compatibility that shit anyway? Oh wait, no, you can't because it's not Xbox and they didn't fucking think it through.
Nope.
Jesus. By the way, we're not paid Microsoft shills here. Like,
Yeah, this is just really
we're
the
just
state
speaking
of
straight
affairs
facts
right
here.
now.
Our favourite executive really showing that he's good at fucking everything up.
Oh yeah, the bitch.
I think they're pinning a lot of hope on the cloud gaming service, which frankly there isn't a market for just yet, or there isn't much of a market for just yet. Will it come? Sure, but we mentioned this a few episodes ago. The infrastructure needs to be there first before that is going to become a big thing. And
Yeah.
until better infrastructure is in place and affordable for everyone, it's just not going to happen. So to pin your money and hopes on that seems short-sighted to me. Obviously, we're not in the boardroom, so we don't know all the conversations. But yeah, man, just seems very silly. And as I mentioned at the top of this item, gonna need to sell a few of those VR headsets to offset some of these losses.
Come on, Sony, we need a pretty damn solid VR and a Call of Duty killer.
Yeah, and Bloodborne on PC.
Yes,
If you do that,
as always.
that'll make you a shitload of money.
Goes without saying. I like that we try and chuck that in as much as we can, just in case there's a Sony exec listening to this thing. Hey, I think these guys have really got their fingers on the pulse. We should really, we could be the straw that broke the camel's back, man. And I am very happy to be that straw.
And we get free copies as a result. What? Yeah. What? Oh, Jim, you shouldn't. Oh, go on then. We'll take it. We'll take it.
Miyazaki wants to meet us? Well, we'll
man.
check our diary, you know.
I was going to say, we're busy guys. But... Well, you say they might need a new title, a new IP or something. This isn't really a PlayStation exclusive, I don't believe, nor is it being touted as one, but I know that news story number 3 is very exciting for you because
Yes,
we now
indeed.
have a little bit of a Hideo Kojima dump. And what I mean by that is I have 3 little nuggets here, all to do with our good friend Hideo Kojima.
Yeah. I mean, I heard a Kojima leak this guy. I think we're talking about different kind of leaks.
That's nasty.
Hideo Kojima and his studio Kojima Studios have been working on a new game, a new IP, which apparently is going to be called Overdose.
That's right.
And we have had some screenshots leak. And the article I have here from The Gamer says, and I quote, Hideo Kojima's Overdose screenshots leak in glorious potato quality.
That is correct. I will say that I think a lot of these screenshots are in fact just kind of captured from a video, and at least the the leak footage that I'd seen was a guy recording a screen of a mobile phone using his mobile phone, and I kept on like he was shirtless while he was filming. And you kept on catching this shirtless dude in the reflection of the phone screen while I was watching this extremely blurry footage. So I kind of feel like that was the same footage that the article used. And they just like heavily cropped and zoomed in. So of course it looks like a fucking picture of Bigfoot.
Dear me. So it's no wonder it's fucking potato quality if you're recording matey's phone off a phone with a reflection of a topless dude.
And
you know?
it's a
That's
screenshot
obviously...
of that to a heavily compressed
me, yeah.
YouTube video, no doubt. Like, yeah, nightmare.
Jeez. Oh yeah, it's hardly fucking surprising then, isn't it? And yeah, as the article kind of backs what you just said there, 2 incredibly blurry images of Hideo Kojima's Overdose have leaked online, apparently showing the same footage that was leaked earlier this summer, which I fucking somehow managed to miss. I didn't even realise that there was leaked in the summer. Apparently, Overdose is one of the worst kept secrets in the gaming industry.
That's absolutely true.
That's absolutely, of course it is. Yeah, it's rumoured to be the cloud project that Kojima is working on with Xbox, apparently.
That's correct.
But yeah, so... Do we think this is Kojima Studios potentially putting it out there deliberately to be a bit sort of provocative, have people talking about it like we are now?
I guess I'm coming from the perspective that Kojima titles typically are surrounded by masses of leaks, masses of sort of cryptic messages from Kojima, so much supposed ideas about what he's secretly working on, secretly who's involved in the project. A guy like him and the games that he produces is just absolutely surrounded by so much intrigue when they come out. It has, following the footage leaks, been confirmed that Margaret Qualley, who was also playing as Mama in the Death Stranding title, appears to be, from the footage at least, the playable character of the game, which is essentially Margaret Qualley wandering around in sort of like a dark, dilapidated building, potentially seeing a ghost or two in the background. They kind of flash up very briefly on the screen. She's kind of holding a flashlight, walking around in a sort of blue gown that could perhaps be maybe like a hospital kind of gown. I couldn't quite make out, again, from the very grainy footage.
Hardly surprising if it's on a phone screen in someone's pocket with a topless dude looking at it and licking it, or whatever you said earlier.
Yeah, yeah. What I did notice in terms of gameplay from that is that she's walking down the corridor, and then occasionally you'll see sort of red dots, red triangles flash up on the screen. And I was reminded quite a bit of Detroit Become Human and some of the other titles by David Cage. That was kind of making me think that, are those just button prompts that you're seeing on the screen? Or, is that something else that it's suggesting? But it did appear that, so the end of the trailer follows Margaret hiding away. I think her flashlight starts failing and then she gets caught, ending in a game over screen. And then you see the words Kojima Productions above the title, confirming that is indeed the footage. I think that the footage surfacing, the 2-minute long footage, is relatively new. I think that there was some footage that a games journalist revealed and has since confirmed that it's the same footage that he saw back then. However, I'm not sure whether the actual full 2 minutes of footage was leaked back in the summer. I think this is more of a recent development.
Maybe it was just like amongst the insiders or something like that.
Yeah.
You do have those closed demo type deals, don't you? So maybe it was one of them.
Speaking in an interview recently with The Guardian, Kojima spoke a little bit about the game and said, if this succeeds, it'll turn things around, not just in the game industry, but in the movie industry as well.
Sounds like some Kojima bollocks, that.
Yeah, absolutely. That's Kojima kind of gusto and, selling his project and saying how he could be describing Death Stranding with that sentence.
Exactly, yeah.
But I think that that again, it's the comment about the movie industry there. Again, that makes me think of David Cage movies, which I always see as a sort of real blend of cinematic experience and games, more so than a lot of titles that even say that they're a blend of cinematic experiences and games. Those David Cage things are essentially cutscenes with button prompts for the most part.
Heavy Rain's just one big QuickTime event, right?
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, yeah, you control your character around every so often, but there's large portions of the game where you don't do anything other than press buttons as they appear on the screen.
Yeah.
Jason!
It does look to be like another horror-themed game as well, and I'm just glad to see that he's continuing down the horror genre, because we got a bit of taste of that in Death Stranding. It was achieved very well, in the portions of the game that it was implemented. So, me, I do like myself a horror title, so I'll be interested to see what this is like. Significantly less interested if this turns out to be a kind of a QuickTime event type game, though, I gotta say.
Interestingly, you mentioned other horror games there, because the second sort of nugget of this Kojima dump is that he has also addressed rumours that he might be involved in a game called Abandoned, which is an upcoming horror game from Blue Box Studios.
Ah, yes.
He has been linked to potentially working on this with the studio, but he has actually come out to address these popular rumours and fan theories, as this article is calling them.
During the sort of the height of these rumours, they were absolutely going into overdrive around Kojima and Hassan Karaman from Blue Box working in partnership, and obviously Blue Box doing absolutely nothing to dissuade those rumours, and in fact actively contributing and stirring the pot. It's free publicity, right?
To be fair, as a result, Kojima has actually ended up coming out and saying that he's received a barrage of questions about this, apparently.
No doubt. Feverish Kojima fans.
Well, and to quote him, it's become really quite a nuisance.
That's a very Kojima-esque way of addressing that.
Gotta love the bloke, right? But but essentially he's gone on to say that he's got nothing to do with it. Blue Box are doing their own thing on it, and whilst it's sort of touching that people are so happy that he might have been linked to it, that he's not at all involved in this. So sorry to all the Kojima fans out there that might have been getting excited about his involvement with it, but it's just simply not true, unless he's playing us all for fools again, which, with Kojima you just never know, right?
The next thing you find out is that goddamn Overdose is just a working project title for Abandoned, and it turns out that Abandoned actually, who was originally, I believe, supposed to be a working project title for Silent Hill, that was one of the rumours that I heard.
I was going to say, I was about to joke that Abandoned is just PT.
Yeah. It comes full circle,
he's actually
baby.
Still working with Guillermo del Toro, and then actually just releasing
It was all a nightmare. Kojima never got fired from Konami. Phantom Pain came out and it was a fully complete game and all is well.
And he was the one that made Survival.
Ugh.
Who knew?
And it was good.
Yeah, and it was really good, but everyone just didn't get it.
Oh, James,
it was just a little bit too obscure.
I don't want to wake up from this dream. Don't pinch me.
Final sort of Kojima nugget here that I've got, and all of these articles have had the same picture of Kojima looking smug next to his logo, by the way. It's so great. But the other thing to come out of sort of recent interviews and things with Kojima is that apparently he's received multiple ridiculously high offers to acquire Kojima Productions, all of which he's rejected.
All of which are from Jim Ryan. Are you sure that you didn't get the articles confused and it's not Kojima saying, listen, this Jim Ryan is really quite a nuisance now. Actually, he just needs to lay off, okay? He keeps on talking about Death Stranding 2 exclusive. It's not happening, buddy.
Oh, man, no. I really wish that was the case, but it's unfortunately not, no. Apparently he's turned down all of these offers, making it clear that he wants to sort of stay in control, have his own independence, which I, for one, am completely in favour for, because you can't have a fucking leash on this man.
Yes, exactly that. Yeah, it doesn't work.
No, you need to have his creativity untethered and let it go. He also goes on to say that Kojima Productions isn't slowing down, which is probably why there was some acquisition interest, because they've obviously already had Death Stranding release and things like that, but potential evidence of a Death Stranding sequel being in the works, apparently. Not to mention Overdose that we've just talked about, and all the continued rumours of other things that he may or may not be involved in. So I respect it. Good on you, Kojima, for not selling out, keeping your independence. Not much more I can say about that. I think I look forward to seeing what Kojima Productions produce in the future.
Damn straight.
So with that, we come to the end of the news, and I think now it's time if we move on to the...
A Games Challenge! So, man, The Evil Within is what I challenge you to play, James, and I'm very much looking forward to hearing how you got on with it. This is a game that I did enjoy playing. How did you get on, man?
Well, so as I sort of alluded to at the very top of the show, really, initially the fact that this wasn't God of War was really upsetting to me.
This isn't a fucking Leviathan axe.
Exactly.
Where's my Blades of Chaos?
It was a struggle at first, I won't lie. That being a fairly big reason for it, but not a huge reason. I mean, I'm sort of joking a little bit when I say that.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
It's kind of... This game was a bit of an odd one. So compared to the other two horror games that you've set me,
Yeah.
being Resident Evil 4 and Condemned, I would probably say I enjoyed this one the least.
I'll be honest, that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
I think that Condemned is a stronger game in terms of a first playthrough experience.
Yeah.
And Resident Evil 4 is an absolute classic. No surprises there.
And that's not to say that I didn't enjoy this. The game definitely grew on me as it went, right? But my first impression was honestly that it was all just a little boring.
Yeah.
It was all just a little boring. The mechanics were kind of boring. And this is especially compared to Condemned, right?
Yeah.
This game ended up having a really cool story.
Ended up being the operative there.
Yeah, but at first it really didn't get my juices going, because you start off, you're a detective called Sebastian, as you mentioned in the show last week.
Sebastian Castellanos.
Sí, Sebastiano Castellanos.
He does not sound like
doesn't sound
Spanish.
anything like that at all.
He's a
no.
gruff American.
But you walk into a mental hospital, I believe it is, and there's just dead bodies fucking everywhere. One thing I'll say at the top of this is that there's fucking shitloads of blood, gore, body horror in this game, right?
No subtlety whatsoever. This is
No.
like someone took the formula for, and I kind of mentioned this briefly on the last episode, took the formula for a game like Silent Hill, completely turned it on the head and was like, we
Yeah.
need fucking torture devices, spiky walls.
Lots of fucking reds everywhere.
Fuck it. Let's make the guy have barbed wire exploding out of him. That's edgy.
Yeah.
There's
Hey,
a lot
this
of
dude's
that.
got a safe for a head. Yeah,
Yeah.
let's fucking do that. But no, so you start off in a hospital, like go walking in. Yeah, in chapter 1, there's 15 chapters in this game, right? And then chapter 1, you're very much on rails. You don't really do a lot. It's setting the scene, slightly tutorial, right? So it's a very slow start as a result. I got the impression initially that it was going to be a very sneaky game.
Yes.
And
yeah.
now for me, I like sneaking in games. I don't massively enjoy a whole game that forces me to be stealthy. And for the first chapter or two, I was worried that this was going to be a stealth game.
Classic one-button stealth kills and things like that quite early on. Yes, it gives you that impression.
But as I say, as I got going, the game sort of expanded a bit. It became a lot more hectic.
It does,
for
yeah.
sure. This could well be as a result of my playstyle slightly with it, because what I essentially ended up doing was similar to my RE4 run. I tried to avoid combat where possible, because ammo's not exactly scarce in this game, but it's not abundant, right? Like you need to conserve it to a degree.
Yeah.
And as we'll get onto later, you need that shit for the bosses, right?
100%, yeah.
You need that shit. Fuck me, some of the bosses here have massive health bars. It's unreal. So my playstyle was essentially to avoid combat where possible. I'm making the beeline towards the end of the mission. I'm doing very little exploring in this game. And I was conserving ammo as much as possible. Now, that meant I was doing a lot of stealth kills where I could. It meant I was doing a lot of running around, getting enemies to follow me, and making them hit the traps that are strewn throughout the game.
Yep, that's definitely intended, yeah.
And it's also made me use a lot of fire.
Right, okay, yeah.
Fire is OP in this game.
I think it's intentional. The fire is meant
very
to
much
be there. Yeah. So let's get into the weapons then a little bit. What weapons did you like? What did you use the most?
I spent the vast majority of the run with a pistol and a shotgun.
Okay, yeah.
I kept on finding crossbow bolts and various things like that. Did I find a crossbow? No.
What at all? Did you went through the whole game without the crossbow?
Yeah, whole game without the crossbow.
My God, man.
And now I know from looking it up afterwards that it's literally on a table in quite an obvious place in chapter 3.
That is so funny to me because the crossbow is like
the most useful fucking thing in the game.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's like goddamn.
I have since watched the speed run,
My
and
God.
I now see that electricity bolts would be fucking useful in this game.
So many of the bolts are amazing in that game.
Yeah. I kept on finding ice bolts, flash bolts, electricity bolts. I was
Javelin
finding them
bolts
all,
that
mate.
will shoot through someone and impale them on a wall.
Yeah. I think there's a fire one, isn't there? Or is that
The fire
DLC?
one's amazing because the fire one's it will latch to any surface, including enemies, and then it does like a massive spinning fire cascade that anything it touches, it'll just ignite them.
Well, that would have been handy, yeah.
You know, I don't want to jump ahead, but like, I really want to know if you completed this game without that crossbow. You know, I assume that you got a lot of good use out of the shotgun then, because the pistol is very much
Pistol's crap, mate.
It's used as a delaying thing. It's used to make them stumble, and it's used to occasionally, very occasionally, get a lucky critical headshot, which kills them in one.
Yeah,
very
no, I used the pistol to kneecap people a couple of times.
That's the main.
And maybe putting a couple of bullets into the odd boss here or there because I had nothing else, right?
Okay, so tell me how you got on with the actual combat then. How did you get on while
well,
the
no,
enemies were
before,
chasing
I
you
will
around?
finish. I'll finish off your question about the weapons first.
Yeah.
Because as we got later into the game, I found the Magnum, and that
tasty.
game changer.
Yeah.
Absolute game changer, right?
Yeah.
So you asked me there how I dealt with people. As I mentioned, there was a lot of running around, a lot of running in circles,
away.
a lot of avoiding things. I mean, I wasn't going to mention this right now, but I will say that you collect green gel throughout the game, which is used to upgrade your stats. I upgraded only one stat on Sebastian, which was his stamina bar.
How is a police officer that is that unfit allowed to be on the force?
Dude,
I don't get it. He can run like 10 meters before he gets winded.
I know, it's ridiculous. It's worse than Geralt in The Witcher.
Yeah,
it really is.
Yeah, it's bad.
And not only that, if you get too low, he literally has to stop and go on his legs like.
Yeah, that's exactly it. That's the worst thing, isn't it?
And you can't be stopping in that game.
No, you screw yourself over a lot by doing that.
Yeah.
That's funny that you went just all in for stamina though. It fits with your playstyle. If you're running through conserving ammunition, then makes sense. Can't run out of puff while you're running away.
And the only other thing I upgraded further down the line was the damage, fire rate, and something else on the Magnum. I think it was the crit chance.
Nice, yeah.
Early game was a bit of a struggle as a result of all of this, right? So
as a result of the fact you were missing your primary weapon, yes. Go on.
Yeah, which I didn't. I was like, I'm surely I'm going to find this at some point, right? And I was just like, no, just never fucking found the card.
That's hilarious, man.
It's not, but it is, right? So as a result of my techniques of running around a lot, looking for traps,
not exploring much,
A lot of trial and error in this. I've got to say, I died so much. Oh my god, man! I died a shitload of times. It's insane how many times I died.
Hey, it's a tough game, and I honestly feel like it's intentional because they really wanted you to see all the death animations.
Yeah, and I've actually written down a couple of my favourites here.
Oh, very nice. You prepared a list of favourites.
I've given them my own names.
The choppy neck stab McBleedy.
There's the stomp and twist.
Oh, I like the stomp and twist.
Which I think is the basic sort. It's probably one of the most basic and common ones, but it's where you get knocked to the floor and then some guy just basically fucking crunches your head with his foot and twists, and your neck goes.
Oh, lovely.
Brutal, man. I also enjoyed chunky explosions. If you get exploded by like a trap or whatever, yeah, like you just go flying everywhere, and it's just great.
I love the physics for that one as well. I've had it a couple times where like my body goes flying, but my legs are still standing up. And stuff.
Yeah.
It's really good.
But yeah, I died so many fucking times in this game, and a lot of it was me being pig-headed, honestly, just like
getting impatient.
Well, it's impatient, but also I'd committed to my strat early doors, and I didn't waver from it. I'm fucking getting through this game, making it infinitely harder for myself, apparently, and just fucking doing it right. So when I got the Magnum, it was the Magnum for bosses and shotgun for everything else.
Resident Evil tactics right there.
Exactly. And the other thing I made extremely good use of was the grenades.
They're great as well. In lieu of a crossbow, the grenades would have been absolutely essential for you. What I want to know is, did you discover the use of the shotgun match combo, essentially, which is to get enemies to group up into an absolute ball, and then you knock them all off their feet with the match, and then set them on fire in a big pile, and one match you can light up to like 4 or 5 zombies. Yeah,
so not quite, but I did use that. I didn't knock them all over. I knocked one of them over. Light that guy up because his corpse would also, for maybe a frame or two, would stop the others advancing, and that gives you enough time to get locked into the animation to track the match down and set them all up.
Yeah, even the guys that are standing up on the ground will actually still be lit as long as they're touching the model of the one that's on fire. And even once or twice, actually, I'm pretty sure I've lit someone and then someone's actually run over and then lit themselves on fire trying to get to me, so it's good.
And so similar to that technique as well, the other one I would use is if I'd killed someone earlier, like I don't know if it's because I'm on PC or if it's a Nintendo game mechanic, the corpses don't go straight away.
Yeah.
But on occasion, I was able to kill someone, attract others over to the corpse that I just killed, and then light that on fire instead of which, funnily enough, is how I beat the first sort of boss of the game, which is a chap called the Sadist. This motherfucker killed me about 20 times.
Well, without the crossbow, mate, I'm not surprised.
Don't rub it in. I didn't know at this point, all right? So I've died to this motherfucker because he has so much health. My God.
Yeah. This is pre-Magnum, I will say, in James's defense.
It's like 4 chapters before the Magnum. I had a shotgun, but no help whatsoever, right? So the way I actually did this was I had to unlock him from his gate. I tried to get him to walk towards the bomb that's sort of just next to him, but that doesn't really it's been consistent.
Yeah.
I exploded myself a few times doing that as well. But as he comes out of his little shed, there's a couple of corpses there straight away. I was able to get him a couple of fire shots in with that, and I had to be very careful to use both, not light them both at the same time. I had to be very careful. As I say, a lot of running around in circles in this game, getting people to follow me, right? I would then run him outside to other mobs who I would have to do the shotgun match technique for to get him on fire. And this was all massively trial and error because sometimes the mobs would get me.
Yeah.
Sometimes he'd catch up with me. And if he catches me, it's I think a 2-shot. I think you can survive 1 hit.
Yeah, with an unupgraded health bar, he's going to take it down real quick.
Took a while, but got there in the end.
I was quite disappointed, I got to say, that the chainsaw breaks when you use it to chainsaw the chain open.
And you can't use it in the interim either as a melee weapon.
Yeah, that was the other thing. Yeah, I mean, like, it would have been fine if kind of like similar to Bayonetta when you got a key for the door or whatever, when you first pick them up, they can be used as a weapon. And it would have been nice to give you a little opportunity to run around with a chainsaw just for some fun, more than anything.
Exactly, just for a little bit, yeah. So that is sort of a microcosm of how I did a lot of the bosses and general combat in this game. Sort of strewn in between other bosses, which we will get onto shortly, there were a lot of sections, some of which were quite empty and clearly there to build story, and some of which were sort of these fucking trap-filled gauntlets of hell.
Sounds about right.
There was one where you're in a kitchen and the lights go out, and flames are coming from the ceiling. There's little, you know, them robots that do your hoovering.
Yeah,
Rumba
Roombas,
robots, I think they're called. There's like them, but saws.
Yeah,
Saw blades.
yeah.
And
You're like, I don't think I'm in a mental hospital anymore.
no, oh, well, so yeah, to sort of cover that, the basic premise of the story is you're inside some dude's mind, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Linked with a bunch of other people whose memories are all getting smushed together, but being controlled by the one central character who's called Ruben Victorio Ruvik, who initially just appears as this spectre-looking motherfucker.
Edgy-looking hooded dick.
Yeah. And I thought it was all scars and stuff, but it turns out it's burn wounds, right? Because his whole shtick is that he's a really gifted scientist, focusing mainly on neurology. But as a kid, I think it's him and his elder sister Laura got trapped in a barn that was set on fire by some peasants who were jealous of the rich family or were treated badly by his rich family or something like that. And he gets out of the fire alive, but Laura dies in said fire. And that's kind of his whole reason for developing the STEM system. He did it because he was trying to bring her back to life, I believe. But what it actually ended up being is just some next level horror show.
yeah, literally horror show. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty insane. There's other bits to the story as well where like the doctor who was working at the hospital and helped him get test subjects, like materials, equipment and things like that, ended up betraying him and trying to take the project for himself and like publishing Ruvik's work as his own and stuff like that. And I've got to say that bit sort of doesn't really factor too much into the story. That gets sort of lost, which I thought was a bit odd.
Might think.
Yeah, maybe. It's almost as if it's just a memory that's fleeting and does nothing to do with the main arc of the story, right? This is why I say, like, the story is very cool, but it's fucking convoluted. I'm not sure I get everything, even having... Okay, well, I'll say this now because I was about to spoil it anyway. I did actually end up completing this.
Hey!
Somehow.
Congratulations. Well done, man. You managed to crash it through.
Yeah, but it was painful.
It was
It's only
painful.
consolation. But no, so as a result, like, I finished the game and I still don't know if I get everything. It's just bizarre how convoluted this story was. But yeah, so, you know, as I say, it's sort of strewn between these boss fights are sort of these sort of massive trappy sections. There are also quite a lot of puzzly bits.
There are, yeah.
Similar to Resident Evil, I'd say, which isn't really surprising given that I believe the director of Resident Evil 1 and 4 was the guy that directed this.
Yep, that's absolutely right. Yes, yeah. I really enjoyed the weirdness of the game. It just had a very kind of unique feel when you go into the sort of the dream world where you can save your game and interact with the nurse that handles your upgrades. It's just all so kind of ethereal and unsettling. I don't know about you, but I think that it heavily borrows from things like the Saw movies as well. You're talking about the spinning circular saws in the ground, but that kind of aesthetic of like tiled clinical environments that are completely decrepit and surrounded by rusted equipment and for some reason torture devices.
Well, and it's funny you say that because there's one bit where, and it's one of these waves of enemies type sections I mentioned briefly earlier. You're a detective and you have sort of two companions. There's your partner called Joseph.
That's right.
And there's a junior detective, and I'm doing massive air quotes there, right, called Kidman. She's actually, when you first encounter her in the Ruvik world, she's in a water tank.
That's right, filling up. That
is slowly filling up, and you have to kill loads of waves of enemies and then free her from the water tank. That gave me some proper Saw vibes. Because it's like, oh yeah, this is filling up, and you have a minute to find the key. Where is it? Oh, it's in my back. Oh.
Yeah.
I think a lot of this game was very action orientated, which I was quite surprised about in the end.
It is. Even the puzzles are, more in a lot of times. They're not very challenging and feel more like a device to be more edgy.
Yeah, like the one where you're in Ruvik's mansion and you have to put the spike in the right section of the brain.
That's right. Yeah.
Those weren't hard at all, but they were really cool in developing the story and the aesthetic of the game.
And actually, that one in particular is very similar to the sort of the challenges that you would see in the Saw video games, even.
Oh, I never played any of them, but I can totally believe it. Yeah, but as I say, very action heavy, which was fine except for the fact that in hindsight I wish I'd had a crossbow with electric stuff that I could freeze everyone with and then set one person on fire.
Freeze blasts, explosives.
Oh man, yeah, I know. I've seen it all now.
The javelins, I will say, the ones that you could fire, those are your boss killers before you get the magnum.
Oh really?
100%. I think that they do so much damage, and if you upgrade them to the maximum damage, it's obscene.
Talking about the other bosses then, I suppose, I think this was more of a mini boss, but when you're going towards the church section, because you're following Leslie, who's for lack
Disturbed
of a
young
better
lad.
term, I think that's brilliant. A disturbed young lad. And I believe that his whole gimmick is that he's the only one to have escaped Ruvik's clutches before. And he also has the exact same brainwave or something. So he's very key to Ruvik being able to escape from the world that he's been trapped in. Didn't really get it, as you can probably tell, but that's what I garnered. But before you get to him, you fight a church guardian who's just a big old mob, like a big old mob, who then brings out another friend, the other church guardian.
Yep.
Oh God, this one was a pain in the ass too. This one was where I sort of first used grenades to quite good effect.
Right.
Because what I do, the first time I didn't know the second guy was coming, so I was like, oh yeah, shit, I'll just kill this guy, and then oh shit, there's another one. Fuck. I was able to get them sort of bunched together and then use grenades. The rest I'd just take out with shotgun, and also you actually have Joseph helping you with a sniper.
And he's pretty decent actually with that sniper.
And he is pretty decent.
When he hits, he's decent.
Yeah, but this is the thing. If you bunch them up like I was doing, he hits quite regularly. Actually wasn't too bad. The next one that I've got written down here is Safe Boy, the keeper.
Yep. Yeah, that's a fun boss fight. I enjoyed that one.
Well, so this is the thing. I remember 2 times of fighting this guy, like in terms of a proper boss battle. You do see him numerous times throughout the game.
Yeah.
But the first time, you're sort of in a section where you have to kill him once, but then after that, okay, he respawns. That's his gimmick. You only have to kill him once, and the rest you can spend your time running around. And eventually what happens is he fills up the corridors that you're running around in with a poison gas, and then knocks off the valve that you used to turn it off.
That's right, yeah.
So you have to go find a new crank wheel, attach it back to the valve, and then turn it before you can move on. And again, I died a lot to this, but I found through various trials and error that you beat him the first time, but then you can just avoid him, lead him down a certain path, go back another way to get back to where you need to go, and then do everything before he gets you.
Right, yeah.
It was okay once you got around a bit. It felt like a bit of a coward's way to do it.
Yeah.
But I was using what I had to work with, right?
Once again, that's pre-Magnum, isn't it, I think? Yeah.
Yeah, this is pre-Magnum. But then you fight the Keeper again a second time later in the game, and at this point I did have the Magnum.
Very nice.
But there's 2 of them. But by this point, Magnum fully upgraded. Pew pew, pew pew. Boss
done. Right. There you
I
go.
think it was that simple. It might have been pew 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 pew. Right? It was 2 or 3 shots each. I can't remember.
Yeah.
The next boss who appears a couple of times that I've got written down here is Laura, the sister who I mentioned earlier.
Yep.
And per the law of the game, the way to beat her easily is fire.
As with most things in the game.
Yeah, but with her particularly.
Yeah.
So I didn't actually kill her. I believe that you can kill her with fire because you can shoot the pipes and they drop flames down, which I did use a couple of times.
Yeah. This is the spider lady sort of thing, right?
That's the good way to put it, yeah. She's got like 4 arms.
She's a cool design as well. I liked her
really
design.
Cool design, yeah. You never actually see her face from what I remember either, which is kind of cool.
It follows the kind of the classic Japanese ghost design, sort of a pale face covered in dark long hair, which is exactly what she looks like, except she's like a mess of hands and limbs as well.
There's 3 more bosses I'd like to talk about briefly. One of them I've called Big Car Park Matey, because I don't know his name, but you can run around as a car park to avoid him, and there's fire barrels and things, so I was using that. I believe that by this time I had the Magnum, but I hadn't upgraded it fully, so I was using that, shotgun, grenades, the fire, and a lot of luck. It depended how much I could hit him, depended if I got headshots or the equivalent of, because I don't recall him having a head necessarily. He was just a mass of body parts. But yeah, that took fucking ages, that one. That was brutal. The next one I've called Invisible Grabby Thing.
Yeah.
Because it comes out of a wall, grabs you as like invisible, but then it's just like a tentacly sort of jumpy boy. I think it was chapter 14, so right before the end of the game. That was a Magnum 2 or 3 bang. That wasn't too bad. I think I might even have first time that one. And then the final boss. And this... unfortunately was anticlimactic because it was fucking easy.
Oh, there we go.
And this wasn't, I didn't use the Magnum. This was, there's that section where you have like a machine gun on the back of a car and you use it very briefly just to clear out some people.
Yeah.
You get one of those and you shoot his hand.
Is
and
that
then you
it?
shoot his head. You do a certain amount of damage or whatever. He then throws you into a barbed wire spike that impales you.
Right.
And you're like, fuck, am I just going to die here? And then a body of the sadist from earlier falls down from seemingly nowhere, and what is he holding?
A chainsaw.
A rocket launcher.
No. A rocket launcher. Oh my god. Oh my
So
god.
I should prefix this by saying there is in the lead up to the final boss, there's various things you do. One of them is the dual keeper fight that I mentioned earlier. One of them is the most fucking irritating light puzzle I've ever done in my life.
Yeah.
You know, that sort of thing where there's light eyeballs on the ceiling, they're producing light, and you have to walk in the dark and not get hit by the light, or it takes you back to the start. Really annoying. But one of them was also a gauntlet of enemies. So you're killing waves, doing all that, and I was using the same techniques, run around, fucking hit and hope, set things on fire where I can. When you get to sort of the end of wave 2, Sadist comes out with a rocket launcher, which luckily is quite easy to avoid,
Yeah.
but then you have to kill him and you can't pick up the rocket launcher, but that's where it comes from. I think you have about 10 or 12 rockets.
Oh, this isn't a Resident Evil rocket launcher where it just triggers
it's
a
not a one
cutscene.
bang. No, it's not a one bang. What you have to do is you aim for his head where Ruvik's sitting, and it's also an exposed brain by this point. And you hit it 4 or 5 times, and then you get the cutscene at the end. And then the actual final thing you have to do is you wake up in the hospital, you unplug yourself from the machine.
Yeah.
And Ruvik's brain is like his actual brain, so no barbed wire and shit, is in the middle on the machine. You pick it out off that, you chuck it on the floor, and you stamp on it.
Do you do a twist?
I don't recall doing a twist, but you get a
twist.
very nice splat noise.
Squishy noise. That's nice. I don't like the sound of a final boss fight being a turret fight for any duration of it. Really, that's an immediate dark mark against it.
It was nice considering that most other bosses I died to a bunch. But to be honest, I died more to the mobs and the traps and getting about.
Yeah.
Like the amount of sections where I got completely overwhelmed. Again, partly because of my playstyle probably, but also just the fact that the AI is nothing special in the mobs. But they just come out of nowhere.
Yeah,
They follow you to the ends of the earth.
Yeah,
There's not really a cutoff for
There's
that.
no real de-aggro range to that's like noticeable.
Yeah, I mean there is, but it's way too long for you to really use it.
It's a pain. I hate things that try and get you to hide. I don't know what it is. I just don't like a game that forces you to hide and stuff. I get the point of why it's there. I don't know. I just find it really boring.
Yeah, that's the thing, right?
I have had some cool moments, where you go hide somewhere, you wait for them to lose interest, and you come out and you get the jump on them again and stuff like that. But yeah.
But it's not really conducive for a games challenge that I have to finish in a week.
No.
That's the problem. So yeah, I mean that's really my experience of the game, man. It was a lot of running, a lot of trial and error, a lot of deaths. It was fun, but I think the main thing is it wasn't as engaging as Condemned, especially, but or Resi 4. The story was good, but I just it didn't quite grip me as much as those other ones. Like I was very happy to finish it,
Yeah.
but not in the sense of like, oh man, this was a great experience. It wasn't bad, don't get me wrong, but I just come away from it feeling a little bit meh, a little bit. This is fine. I'm curious to see what the second game does in terms of the story, but I don't know if I'd play it again.
I think that's a pretty fair analysis, honestly, man. I think that is a fair opinion from what a game that I would consider is an attempt at emulating something as opposed to an attempt at doing something new. It was an attempt at a return to form for survival horror, or at least kind of like a long-awaited return to survival horror following Dead Space, which was sort of slowly moving away from that. At the time of release, it was definitely the best example I could think of a modern day survival horror shooter. But yeah, it borrows a lot from other games. You definitely don't see anything new. It doesn't particularly play with any unique ideas outside some of the puzzles, and if anything, they're more just sort of cool visual type things, cool creepy kind of concepts that they play with, but it's nothing groundbreaking. Not a bad game at all by any standards.
No, and definitely a lot better than I thought it was going to be when I started.
I think that this is the sort of game where it takes a bit more from, say, Resident Evil 4 than from Resident Evil 2, in the sense that because enemies drop ammo, you do basically have enough ammo to take on most things. Also, the fact that you've got a stealth kill as well. I feel like it's encouraged that you kill enemies because they not only drop ammo, they also drop small amounts of upgrade points. The game wants you to kill the enemies. The game doesn't want you to avoid the enemies as much as earlier Resident Evil titles did.
So it didn't like my playstyle at all. But hey.
Not really, yeah. That might have explained some of the issues that you had. But then again, I think that honestly, there was certainly a playthrough because I've attempted this game a couple times. There was definitely one playthrough where I was like, I'm sure I found the shotgun before. Where is the bloody shotgun? It turns out I'd done very much the same thing.
If you don't go into the room it's in, you just miss it, right? And it doesn't come up again. So.
I'm not sure about the bow. I'm pretty sure the shotgun appears in 2 places if you missed it the first time, but
the bow fucking doesn't.
No. And the thing is, you're not looking around for a crossbow, right? You just see a pile of junk on a table. You're not thinking, oh, that's a crossbow. You know, kind of running through, exploring. So easily done, but well done on getting through the game without a doubt the most useful item of the game.
Yeah. No, in hindsight, I'm quite pleased with myself.
It's like you managed to complete Portal without the goddamn portal gun.
16 to 17 hours, something like that.
Very respectable time. That's about what I was thinking.
It was quite stressful, I won't lie. But hey, it is what it is, and
you've pulled ahead now. 4-3.
Back in the lead.
Feels good. Now. Feels good to be back on top, baby.
Anyway, enough of this toing and froing. I'm sure that you're now looking forward to hearing what I've got for you this week.
I am. Well, I mean, I got to say, with a slightly heavy heart, this is going to tear me away from Call of Duty, so I think that we're going to be having similar kind of feelings there. Hit me, man. What are you challenging me to?
Well, I know that you're not going to like this as much as you will do COD, because I understand from the God of War Evil Within spirits. However, I've tried to give you a game that I know you haven't played or haven't completed, certainly. It's quite fun. It's a bit of a laugh. It's just, it won't be what you want to play, right?
Yeah, right. We'll see. That's to be decided.
No, I think I'm quite confident.
No, I'm confident that you'll hate this.
But your challenge this week is another completion challenge.
Okay.
What I would like you to play and complete this week is Saints Row 2.
No way! Oh my god.
Way.
Okay. Right.
As I say, I know that you want to be playing Modern Warfare 2, right? I know that's what you want to be doing. And as such, I thought, let's give Will something that is a fucking barrel of laughs.
Yeah, it's fun.
You can just have fun in this. You can fuck about. You can you get a fucking pimp cane that's a shotgun.
Yeah.
What more could you want, right? Just complete it, get it done, and if you finish quickly, you can play Modern Warfare 2 again.
As long as you eat your vegetables. Nice one, man. I will do. I will have fun.
And we'll look forward to hearing how you get on next week, man.
Nice one, man. I'm looking forward to coming back with fingers crossed a victory for myself.
So with that, we come to the end of episode 12. What have we learned this week?
I learned that, sometimes it's easy to take your friends for advantage and, maybe lose a part of yourself along the way. But sometimes with the loss of a friend comes the gaining of magical, mysterious objects of power. So I'm just going to take my tambourine and continue to cast spells. I might even make the tambourine, make the bus arrive on time tomorrow. Who knows, But
well, I'll tell you, that one would be magic.
Yeah.
If you enjoyed what you heard and would like to hear more, then why not check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, pretty much anywhere you can find your podcasts, really. Just search Total Pod Mode and we're sure to be there. We also post regular video content of our playthroughs, stream highlights, as well as the podcast itself on our YouTube channel, Total Pod Mode.
You can also find us on Twitter by searching for @TotalPodMode, all one word.
And whilst you're there, you can find me at Mr. Bames, and I'm also on Twitch under twitch.tv/MrBames_TPM.
And you can find me at Hoodafunk on Twitter, and I'm also on Twitch under twitch.tv/Hoodafunk.
Thank you so much to all our listeners and viewers. It means the world to us that you get to the end of the show, make it this far, keep supporting us.
If you're hearing this now, we love you.
And if you're hearing this now, hello. Please feel free to tell your friends, rate us 5 stars where you can. It really means the world to us and helps a lot. I've been James. He's been Will.
Now fuck off.
Now get the fuck out of here. Let's go.
Take care, everyone.